We have with us today Eric Fong from Bainbridge Island and Marwan Cameron from Bremerton Central Kitsap. We are missing this evening our colleagues, Gina Steiner, who had a work commitment, and Sue Whitford, who is still traveling, but we do have a quorum this evening. Marwan, do you want to start with the mission statement?
Sure. Inspiring our community to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more.
Thank you. Jason, you want to do some introductions?
Yeah, special guest joining us today will be Patron Experience Manager Sharon Grant, who will deliver a presentation on our Summer Learning Challenge. So welcome in, Sharon.
And we also have in the room with us Wendy Kyle, Mike Rose, Lucretia Robertson, Jeannie Allen, Tammy Jeffries, and of course Jason Driver is in the room. And I'm trying to see, there's other leadership team. I can't tell who else is.
All leadership team is accounted for in the room.
Okay, good. Are there any additions or changes requested to the agenda? Hearing none. We're moving on to public comment. I don't believe we have any public comment. This is the time we would welcome that. We're speeding right along to the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion of the Board of Trustees with no separate discussion. If there is something in the consent agenda that invites separate discussion, it may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. Included this evening in the consent agenda are minutes of the September 27th board meeting, our routine payment of September 2022 bills, including 2 separate payroll and benefits, as well as the blanket voucher for bills, as well as the routine surplus library materials removal from the collection for September, which accounts for 3,667 items. Is there anything in that consent agenda that somebody would like to discuss separately? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Eric. Marwan? There's only 3 of us here. No further discussion. About the consent agenda, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Consent agenda has been approved. With that, Jason, do you want to give a further introduction to Sharon, or can we just welcome Sharon for her presentation?
Yes, Sharon really needs no introduction, but I will just preface our introduction by saying and continuing to say on record that Sharon is a Swiss Army knife. So she does everything well, but she particularly handles project management unlike anybody I've ever seen. So she's very valuable to the organization, and welcome Sharon to give us an update on Summer Learning Challenge or Summer Learning Program for 2022.
Great, thank you for inviting me. I'm going to start out with sharing my screen. I'll stop my video. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. And you can see my presentation?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's always an honor to talk to the board. And I always love talking about summer learning. And Summer Learning 2022 was special for a lot of reasons. One of them was that we were able to welcome Jason Driver and his family right into the program. They are probably the best cover models ever.
I love that photo.
And our wonderful communications team really, I think, showed them off well. Here they are in the, I believe it's in Kingston, in the community garden. So before I share some details about this year, I always like to start off with sharing the goals for the program. First, we look to engage community through outreach and programming. And we're all about encouraging reading, the various challenges that we offer to the community and to ourselves. And finally, It really is all about supporting learning, whether that learning is done through books, videos, or from our family members. And so with summer learning last year, I really celebrated first off with the fact that our doors were open for the first time in what felt like forever. But this year I felt as if what resonated with me most was about connecting. I saw so many more events in our communities and more events in our libraries. The picture you see there is from the Bainbridge Island Parade. I got to participate in that community event for the first time, and wow, were there a lot of people there. And cheering for the library. So as a part of that engaging community, in 2022, we had 700 people attend large-scale public programs in Port Orchard, Bremerton, Kingston, and Silverdale. This was a big step forward from where we were just a year ago. We had performances from Gonzaga, the West African Dance Company. You can see them up there at the top, leading us all in dance moves. Jeff Evans, the ever popular magician, and Sunshine from Polynesia, a Polynesian dance and performance group out of the Seattle area. So all of these events were really well attended. I think most of them were outside. We did have one inside, but people really came back to engage with us again. And we had our regular summer learning challenges with some new twists this year. We offered the regular 10-hour and the 100-hour reading challenges. But this year, based on a patron suggestion, we offered a 50-hour prize and challenge as well. And we continued with our learning challenge where we asked patrons to set a goal and share their learning experience with us. And this year we put a new spin on this with our Grow More challenge, where we asked patrons to read new authors, try new community parks and online resources at the library, as well as other activities to help them grow more through bingo. And similar to before, we had different ways to participate. Patrons could participate through paper booklets. What was new this year is we were also able to offer the patron booklet in Spanish as well as English. And we continued with offering the digital tracking online through our Beanstack app. A little bit about the journey. How we brought our patrons in and to share their successes with the challenge. For the 10-hour prize, we offered books as free prizes to all ages this year. This is a little bit different than previous years. Previously, we offered books to children and teens, and then we had a separate prize for adults. But this year, we offered books to everyone, and that was kind of exciting and a shared experience for all of us. And we had our 100-hour challenge. The prize there was the wonderful t-shirt designed by Tara from the communications department, celebrating 100-hour readers and beats, which is a wonderful thing. And finally, we had our learning challenge and our bingo activity. These were drawings for prizes at all of our locations. So there was a set of prize for each branch that patrons could win. One prize was a $100 gift certificate to a local nursery, kind of based on our theme, or a certificate to a local bookstore. We also offered a prize of a Nintendo Switch and a game, and a hydroponic kit and a mushroom log. And then I learned the importance of storage with mushroom logs. So I don't know if that will happen again, but it was kind of fun to offer. If you're not going to use them, you have to refrigerate them. And then here are our results. We had 6,077 finishers of the 10-hour reading challenge. And then we had about 1,300 finishers of the 100-hour reading challenge. And the other kind of fun activity we brought back for the first time in a couple of years was we have our patrons who complete 10 hours we ask them to put their name on a llama, and then we post it someplace in our libraries. So you see that picture there is all the different kids who filled out a little llama card and celebrated their 10 hours by putting it up on a wall in the library. And then finally, we had over 1,000 people who explored more through the Learning Challenge or the bingo activity. And something that's really fun every year with this challenge is reading about all the different things people try and what they learn from their experience. And so I thought I'd share a few of those comments. And I think there's some wisdom here. So, Levi, age 11, you shouldn't always trust videos on YouTube when you're learning something. Lynn, age 15, she found that baking with other people is more fun than baking by yourself. And then Kathy, age 72 from Paulsbo, she learned all about different kinds of lava flows and that she's never too old to climb up a cinder cone. You just have to expect to be passed by running little boys. And probably our funniest contribution from Jacob, age 11 from Port Orchard, he decided to learn how to do a pedicure. And he learned some valuable things. He learned that you have to be really careful about cutting other people's toenails. Feet don't stink as much as you think. And there are lots of different kinds of toenail colors. And finally, your grandma will pay you $20 if you cut her toenails. So I think we all grew in a variety of ways through this program this year. So lots of good stories, lots of good comments. I think it's fun to be able to have the opportunity to read so many of those. And then finally, a huge thank you and shout out to our staff, our community, the Kitsap Regional Library Foundation, and friends. We couldn't do this program without everyone. It just really takes everyone pitching in together to bring this community forward. Staff put a tremendous amount of effort into this, and I deeply appreciate all of the contributions from everyone. And so that's my presentation. I also attached a report with lots of numbers and details on the program. It's not too long, I hope, but you can definitely take a look at that if you're looking for kind of more detailed information. But does anybody have any questions?
Sharon, I have a question just because, we always think about summer learning being programmed for kids and for youth, particularly because of that drop-off period in summer. And so hadn't really clued in to the degree to which it includes adults in the summer, but I'm curious about, has that always been the case? Is that something new? The fact that adults got excited about having prizes and new books, just incorporating that into the program. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let me just see if I can stop sharing. Okay, so we've had adults participate in summer learning for several years now. I started working on the program in 2019, so it's been a part of the program. I think at least there might have been like 1 or 2 years before that when adults started participating. We've seen the number of adults increase every single year. It is an all ages program. We're really looking as much as we can to kind of bring our community together in a shared experience. And so I think everybody gets excited by the different activities joining together, seeing their family members excited, and also kind of enjoying different rewards along the way.
Good, thank you. Is there something to the 10 hours? Is that like what it takes to encourage people to read at least one book over the summer?
So the 10 hours of reading originally stems from the idea that there has been research to the effect that if kids can read at least about 10 hours over the summer, it reduces the summer slide. So that's the learning that is lost for, during the summer months if kids don't read or engage in learning activities.
Seems like a huge return on investment for not a very big challenge necessarily. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions?
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation, Sharon. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on resources, anything else that you might need to continue the momentum into 2023 for summer learning.
Well, I think we'll need to look at, costs are increasing a little bit, especially this year. They've increased a bit, so we'll have to keep our eyes on the cost of the program and make sure that we're properly budgeting from the start. Wendy and the foundation have been extremely supportive on getting us the resources we need to continue to make the program available and to reach as many people as possible.
Great, thank you.
Sharon, my only question for you is, one is a comment. This is the first year my daughter and I participated in the summer learning project, so that was great.
Oh, wonderful.
And she took a vacation and was able to continue to read, which was great, because I wasn't there with her. So you can talk, hey, are you reading? So that was fantastic. Is there something you can give me to tell her what's coming up next year?
I think we can definitely know that we're going to be, offering the 10-hour and the 100-hour reading challenge and offering activities that support learning. And I think we are going to be doing the kind of gardening theme for another year. We might be pulling from some of our other artwork. And you can tell her, like, we're so excited that she participated this year, and we can't wait to see her next year.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Next, we have board member reports. Marwan?
For me, the staff day was really exciting. It was the first that I had participated in. I was at the downtown library. And one of the things that was really impressive about the staff down there was just their location. And so I had a chance to have a long conversation with Lisa and a few others about working and serving the unhoused alongside children and parents and families coming in, and just how well they're able to do that. I thought that was pretty amazing how they're able to do that and keep the incidents down, and just how well they kind of integrate together. So kudos to the downtown library, and I look forward to working with them a little bit more. They told me to consider it their library. So.
Your lobby while you were there.
Yes, absolutely.
Eric?
Great, thank you. I also attended staff day at Bainbridge Island and really enjoyed getting to spend a little bit more time with staff, as well as Nicole. And I thought there was some really good collaboration. We enjoyed the program and got a lot of time to spend together. We had a scavenger hunt later in the afternoon, which was great to run around, not only inside the library, but outside, which, Bainbridge Island the library there has a beautiful garden. So it was great to connect with all the staff.
We were all deployed, which was super fun. I actually got to hang out at Manchester with the 2 branches of staff. I really want to just express my kudos to, and that's certainly Jason and Lucretia and the full team that helped support that. It was a super rewarding day. I think we all felt also just really welcomed by the staff and the locations we were in. And it was such a learning moment, because as we were discussing strategic planning and really what does the library mean to each of those communities, and I'm constantly awed by what the library is in all of our communities and how it's serving in ways that we often don't stop to think about. So it was really, really a rewarding day, but I want to say that's a big lift, and really want to say thank you for that work, but also allowing us to be a part of it too, which was awesome. I think the other thing that we did in the interim, this may have actually happened, can't remember the timing of this, the entrance conference for the state audit that we're undergoing. So I participated in that with Dan and Jason, and it was informative, and it was nice because we often think about audits sometimes as potentially being like they're out to get you. And I was just really struck with how just really informative and truly, there was just a lot of hospitality there with them wanting us to understand the process and to be comfortable with the process and what was going to happen. So that was good. And you don't honestly see auditors smile very much, and they often, and they were engaging, and it was good. So that was our activity. Eric, do you want to provide commentary from the Strategic and Long Range Planning Committee that happened earlier tonight?
Sure. So following up on staff day, we spent excuse me, a bit of time reflecting on staff day and looking forward to receiving some of the staff survey feedback. We also talked about focus on operational efficiencies for the quarter, and also talked about next steps for the strategic plan.
It's a busy time.
Yep.
Jason, Dan's not here, right?
Dan's not.
Okay.
He's at a conference, so
All right.
his report will be a stand.
So his report as stand, it looks like, and just, I looked at it earlier today, we're still tracking well within the budget. So all is good unless there's questions from the board. Okay. Jason, Library Director's report.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody. Welcome. Just a quick reintroduction of my leadership team. They're phenomenal. From my right, going counterclockwise around the table, we have Jeannie Allen, Director of Strategy and Communications, Tammy Jeffries, our Executive Assistant, Lucretia Robertson, the Director of Human Resources and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and also Mike Rose, who is the Director of Technology and Facilities Management. And then last but not least, Wendy Kyle, the Executive Director of the Kitsap Regional Library Foundation. Absent is the aforementioned Dan Baer, who's at a CASEL conference in Utah, and then Shannon Peterson's excused tonight, attending to family business. So welcome. And so just really quickly, really recapping what happened at staff day, and we'll talk more about it as it was post submission of this report. Just really want to acknowledge the hard work of Lucretia Robertson and putting together staff day. I think it was a wonderful day, and that really leads into her dual role as working in human resources and working as a diversity, equity, inclusion director. She's done a fantastic job, and not only sort of molding out what HR will be and how that role will dovetail along with diversity, equity, inclusion, but her ability also to seamlessly work with, Jeannie and to work with Mike and all other directors has not gone unnoticed. So really big kudos to Lucretia and her team and her, really her community, because it includes folks who've been on her equity team and now folks who are comprising various teams that are putting together things like staff day. So good job. And as we're transitioning to the fall, weather's getting colder. This is my first fall in Kitsap, and so I've been pleased to notice that the leaves are turning, and just coming back from Chicago and seeing the kind of full display of fall leaves, I'm pleasantly surprised at, the rich diversity of, leaf colors I've seen so far. So that's been great. And
We have lots to live up to.
Lots to live up to, and staff are really digging in. I think it's just getting colder. Certainly a lot of our activities have been indoors, but staff is really, going out of their way to just kind of do what they've always done, which is to really dig into the community. And I'll speak to a little bit of that in Shannon's section of the report. But as we mentioned earlier, and Eric mentioned in our strategic and long-range planning meeting, we're really digging into strategy led by our Director of Strategy and Marketing, Jeannie Allen, and our consultant who we've hired to lead us through the strategic planning process. So we've dug in our heels a little bit with leadership and our board to do a little bit of brainstorming on where we think we should be, and also digging into staff day. We've unveiled a questionnaire that staff have the ability to fill out to provide their feedback. And, from here, we'll be digging into our community partners and having some listening sessions with them. And then we hope to have listening sessions with staff going into early 2023 with the hopes of having a strategic plan that will be, obviously my first with the organization, but it'll really, look to long range, 3 to 5 years out, working on deliverables for Kitsap Regional Library. So we hope to have that unveiled hopefully by Q1 of next year. So, and then excited about partnerships in general. I think we mentioned last month, we've got a partnership with Graduate Strong that really digs into financial aid completion, and it's seeing that financial aid completion rates are pretty low within Kitsap County and in particular areas. Really happy to leverage the resources of Graduate Strong and working with partners like Olympic College to have financial aid navigators to really help people navigate that process. The good thing is we have staff who are already trained at being financial aid navigators, so I think it's a pretty easy lift for us. And really, a purpose of the library is to provide, adequate resources for the community. So really excited about that partnership and digging into more that will be coming, about. So, in terms of community connections, that part of my philosophy is digging into the community. Those meetings continue. Tammy keeps me really busy with a full slate of meetings for the community. And so that continues on a weekly basis, but also really listening to staff about which community connections are important and they think I should go after, because really it's their expertise that really drives, who I should be talking to and what questions I should be asking. I think one such opportunity came about in one of my open office hour sessions. I was talking to a staff member who brought up Chief Kitsap Academy, which is, a very small school that's in North Kitsap. And, thankfully I had the opportunity to visit there Friday and really talk to staff about what the needs are and how staff can, serve that particular community. So I'm really leveraging opportunities like that to figure out who else is important. So in terms of also digging in staff, I really want to call out a couple people in public services who are doing stellar work. Karina Langstrat, who's our adult services librarian at Pulsebo, continues to dig into the business community and is working with the Small Business Development Center. They've gotten a new director, or at least liaison, that's working with our community out of Pulsebo, and it'll be done remotely. And she's really digging in around different ideas about how to reach the community in terms of providing small business resources. So I really want to call out her work. She's been heavily invested in that community for several years, and she's really good at what she does, and she's a good community connector. And so also want to call out staff at Silverdale, Leah Draneka, who's was able to arrange this Zoom program where they were able to have scientists and who work on the EV Nautilus, which was out in the open ocean of North Hawaii. And they had an audience of about 29 to talk about the initiative to map the planet's ocean floor, which if you follow different, I like watching those planet episodes that come on, and a big percentage of the ocean floor has not been mapped, and it's a vast sea of unknowns for a lot of different reasons in terms of sea creatures and apparently what's down there. So she was able to engage scientists on that project and have a pretty good audience to ask questions and to talk about that. And that's part of what we do, right? For like the summer learning challenges, to really engage our youth and teens and adults on, exploring and learning. And so I really want to call her out, and Roger Anas too, who was able to partner with her and create or at least have deliverables of a memory game that kids could use to, learn about scientific words for, oceanic terms. So that was really great. Leanne Winterell from North Kitsap, from the regional manager of Kingston and Little Boston, continues to do great work. Her and Anna Kupro-Comas and Associate Marcella Williams both supported and continue to support the Port Gamble Sklallam Tribe. And they did that by way of getting in their outreach days, and they have a new courtyard that's part of a new health center construction. It's become basically an important campus location for the community events. So they continue to dig in terms of engaging with them and different events around the community. I'm always awestruck at how many events they're doing in terms of outreach and how many community initiatives they're undertaking. Then last but not least, I want to call out librarian Emin Rogers, and with the support of our manager Kathleen Wilson in Port Orchard, they attended a back to school night at Port Orchard Elementary where they handed out numerous summer learning prize books and a 100-hour t-shirt. So that's, coming off the heels of summer learning where, all of our folks were really engaged in community outreach and making sure that folks were able to get their prizes. So that's really important when, you can not only come to the library and get acknowledgement with getting a llama on the wall, but also, and I remember doing that as a youth services librarian, it was always, important for kids to be able to see their names represented for participation. And so kudos to them for getting out into the community and doing that. And then lastly, just really calling out, Shannon gives a really good example. We're all free to read it in the report of excellent customer service that's delivered. One of the things that I've really been awestruck here at Kitsap is how much people go out of their way to ensure that customers are satisfied. And, you know, you can never be wrong when you go out of your way to ensure that people are satisfied. And so the only bad customer service is not trying to, you know, deliver it at all. And so customer service is really an area of focus that I'm really highly interested in, because it's, you know, I am most patient at almost everything except bad customer service. And I have had 0 examples so far in my tenure here of seeing folks deliver bad customer service. So I'm really impressed that people go out of their way to make sure, even in cases where it might seem to the average person that you should just either disconnect, you know, engaging with a patron because maybe they've gone 30 or 40 minutes beyond what would be a reasonable amount of time to be delivering customer service, and or they may have behaviors that might not be conducive, you know, of being in the library. Staff go over and above themselves to make sure that they have delivered good customer service with, you know, kindness and compassion. And so that's what I really want to end that on, is that we've got wonderful staff, and I hope they always know it. They do a wonderful job, and their hearts are in the right places. And then moving on to facility stuff, we've got Mr. Rose in the room to talk about our, seems like forever McKinstry project, which you'll notice as board members, if you've come into the facility today, that we have a shiny brand new roof, which I think we are at completion. And, you know, like all construction projects, usually you're left with a punch list to work through. And so I'll turn it over to Mike to really talk about kind of the finishing touches of McKinstry. We also got our electrical switchgear project that was completed, and I think that went without a hitch. But Mike?
It did. Actually, that's a great project to talk about because it went without a hitch. So I like that one. We did have a weekend power outage here at Sylvan Way, excuse me, just a couple of weeks ago. And that was to completely demolish our old electrical switchgear for the building and replace it with brand new. So that went exactly according to plan and according to timeline. So we were very pleased with that part of the project. The roof is, for all intents and purposes, now complete.
I thought you were going to say on fire. Sorry, I had to throw that out there.
Now we're on.
Yeah, I threw off my roof.
All right, a little humor.
So,
lighten things.
No, the roof is, for all intents and purposes, complete. As Jason pointed out, there are a couple punch list items that we are going to call a contractor back for, just to clean up and make sure that they finish the finishing touches completely. But aside from the extended project timeline on that portion of the project, we're pleased with the end result. We have a very sturdy PVC vinyl new roofing system that should last far longer than any of us will be around for this building. So we're excited about that. We do have some, over the next few weeks, some replacement HVAC units coming into the building. And then once that's done and the contractors are all buttoned up, then we can completely sign off that. We are already starting to get some of the rebate checks from PSE, which was the original intent of this project, was to improve building efficiencies in lighting and HVAC. So we are starting to see some of those rebate checks come in. So that's the cherry on the top of this project. So
thank you. And the other half of Mr. Rose's job is information technology. And so the last thing I want to highlight in my report this month is a new feature that we've unveiled. And when I say we, Mike has unveiled with his team is Quick Bites. And so the purpose of Quick Bites really is to impart important technology advice and instruction to staff in a usable manner. When I say usable, I'm a visual learner. And so I think, you know, it's important to also reach people who have different learning styles. And so I think the purpose for having Quick Bites, and computers, let's face it, is not an area of expertise or familiarity with everybody. And there's a wide range of skill sets when it comes to technology. So we owe it to our staff to be able to provide information useful ways to do that. And I think, it's long been, an idea of staff and IT to be able to provide these training videos. And it's something I even remember talking to them about during a first visit with them about, their training needs and abilities to deliver training. So I think next month it would be great if we could at least highlight one or two of the videos. They're all fun, they're engaging, and give staff an ability to, engage in their work in a different way. And, the ancillary benefit of it, of course, is that we're better protected in terms of our, our information security because folks are doing the right thing. And so, Mike, you want to illuminate a little bit of that and how it works?
So yeah, when I first came in and took over the IT department, they highlighted to me again the need to. It was kind of mutual, right? At the same time, we were talking about where we needed to take the department, and staff communication was a key component of that. And we just sort of were brainstorming, and I said, well, how about if we have we just create a new vehicle by which we can communicate effectively out to staff in a somewhat lighthearted, in this case, self-deprecating look at some of the technology needs and more importantly, the changes that we're looking to make our network more secure. So as I pointed out in previous meetings, we had a couple months ago, we've started experiencing some more directed phishing attacks on our network and through email and things like that. And so cybersecurity is one of the recurring topics that we're putting out through this new episodic feature we call Quick Bites. And so they're very short hits, basically one subject at a time, where we're saying, for example, the one that just came out this week is talking about new banners that are going to be on the top of email just to alert staff that the email is coming from outside of our network. So this didn't come from somebody inside KRL, this is coming from the outside, so you need to pay special attention to it. And that's just a highlighted banner that's going to start to add in November on everyone's emails that are coming in. And so we just sent out a quick video, and we have one particular staff member, Gianni, who was just super excited about this. This is right in his swim lane in terms of wanting to be open and not only accomplish training on cyber security and other related issues, but he's a little bit more personable and extroverted than the other staff members might be. And so it's one of the things where we talk about what subject is going to be, and then I'll put something together, and we kind of review it as a team, and then I push it out for everybody to review, all the staff to review. So we're getting lots of positive feedback, and we're just trying to tweak that and hit all of our subject matters as we go down. So this will be kind of a recurring thing that we do throughout the future.
Thanks, Mike. That's a good note to end on. I think when we talk about ultimately development of staff and giving them opportunities to explore within the organization, that's a perfect example. Gianni had an interest, and the team had an interest in having a deliverable that Mike was able to, see to its fruition. And I think it's yielded big benefits for the organization. I certainly like watching those episodes. So that is it, and that concludes my report. Any questions?
It's full.
Jason, would you mind sharing? I know you probably already planned and just missed it, sharing the names of the Star Award.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? So I, first of all, I would be remiss if I didn't, and I was going to give a more full report next month. Would be remiss if I didn't mention that we had a Superstar Award winner on camera here, and that's with Sharon Grant. And so congratulations, Sharon, if she's still on. If not, congratulations, Sharon. So yes. So first of all, going through the awards for Staff Day, we recognized several folks who were received recognition at 5 years: Alexis Frayne, James Anderson, Joshua Lathrop, Jonathan Wilson, Liz Ochoa, and very own Dan Baer. 10 years was our very own Jeannie Allen. At 15 years was Roger Anas, and then 25 years is Leah Burbridge. 30 years, Lisa Longmire, and believe it or not, coming in at 40 years is our own Tammy Jeffries, and then our Star Awards, and so those are nominated by our leadership team as well as frontline staff. And so we gave out our Superstar Award to Sharon Grant. Our Rory Bradley Award was given out to Ollie Lee Reagan. And then our Star Team Award was given out to Mobile Services. And then Fun, Fresh, and Fearless is typically an award that's chosen by the library director. I needed a lot of help this year in coming in and being new and not wanting the pressure of, I didn't have enough data. So there's a lot of went into this, and I've already seen the good work of Ayanna Jones, who was a recipient of the Fun, Fresh, and Fearless Award. And she's representative of Jeannie's team, and she does so much good work for all of us, and certainly it's a reflection of Jeannie's leadership as well. So those were the awards from this year's staff day. It was a fun time.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments? All right, thank you.
So it's good to read through that. Next item on our agenda is correspondence, and there isn't any, which moves us right into old business. We have one item of old business. Wendy is returning. She's back after the discussion at our last trustees meeting. So what we have before us is a slight revision to the fundraising and donation policy, which was formerly the sponsorship policy. And so what we're approving tonight is that policy. However, you did also make a couple of additional changes within the procedures that actually support that policy as well, including referencing the Association for Fundraising Professionals, that there's actually ethics in fundraising, which sometimes gets missed. So we wanted to call that out. And also to bring forward a clause that indicates that the library and or the board cannot commit the foundation to any particular fundraising initiative or project without their ability, and they have set a level within the foundation, but without their ability to do appropriate due diligence in advance of considering that commitment. So those two particular things are actually in the procedure, which we don't approve, but we do approve the policy, which I think really the change in this was bringing forward in an explicit way that we recognize as a board that fundraising is in fact essential to our operations as a library. We cannot make the things happen that happen here in support of the tremendous team without the additional efforts of fundraising that comes from the foundation. So we wanted to bring that forward in the policy. So with that, are there, Wendy, do you have anything further to say about this, or maybe questions by either?
I think you covered it. Yeah, so that was really, really rewording the name from sponsorship to fundraising, and then calling out fundraising as essential, and that activity is delegated to the foundation. And then of course the edits, the requested edits to the procedures as well. So thank you. Yeah, any questions?
No questions. Appreciate coming back, and appreciate the conversation from last meeting and getting us to where we are today.
Good. Okay, there's three of us here. So with that, would somebody like to make a motion to approve this policy?
I move.
There you go.
To approve the fundraising and donation policy?
Donation policy.
Perfect, great.
Second.
Good. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the policy as recommended? Aye, great. Good, thank you. That was great, and really appreciate the openness to the discussion last time and considering those edits certainly. So
Thank you.
we have two items under new business also requiring approval by the trustees. One is a standard resolution, number 2022-7, which really essentially just sets the regular meeting dates for the Board of Trustees going forward in the calendar for 2023. Those dates are generally the fourth Tuesday of every month at 5:30. consistent with what they have been, with the exception of the December meeting, which I note as the third Tuesday, just accommodating the holiday. So any questions about this resolution or the calendar, or concerns about the calendar moving forward for the Board of Trustees regular meeting? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for this resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution?
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? It's pretty straightforward. All in favor of approving resolution 2022-07? Aye, great, thank you. Motion approved. The second resolution in front of us is resolution 2022-08, which amends and restates the schedule of paid holidays in the calendar years 2022 and 2023. This repeals resolution 2022-06. Do you want to speak further to this, or maybe Lucretia, are you going to speak further to this resolution?
I wasn't initially part of that discussion. I will share that our intention is to consider staffing impacts, schedule. There's some other issues around what I would say like risk and not having enough people here. But more importantly, this is really about wellness, about being, when we're closed and having an opportunity to be closed on those days, and not expecting staff to do a lot of adjustment. So hopefully that meets that need. Yeah.
Okay, great, because it looked like it really is essentially the same.
It's basically the same thing. There are a couple days that need to be adjusted just because of where they fell on in terms of whether they were on Sundays and right. And so just because sometimes you have Christmas and the day might fall on a Sunday.
So moving to a Monday or
Exactly.
Friday with them, okay.
Right.
Good. And is it a new addition then that allows staff to essentially, after 6 months of employment, to have a personal holiday? Is that new or consistent with past?
That's consistent with past, yes.
Good. Any further conversation or questions about resolution 2022-08? No?
No questions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Great.
For management, the same schedule of the paid holiday calendar.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. These are the easy ones. Motion approved. Good, all right. That brings us to the end of the agenda. There are no housekeeping issues other than just noting that our next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is on November 22nd. It's preceded by a Finance Committee meeting at 4:30. And with that, we are adjourned.